Welcome to Financial Flight Academy with Jon Schuetz and Brent Connelly from Soar Wealth Strategies. In this podcast, we inspire families and business owners to build a foundation for their financial future. We do this by listening and building trust with our clients. Join us for this journey where we explore ways to protect your nest and live out your dreams as Jon and Brent draw from years of experience and guest experts to help you take that leap of faith.
We are preparing for takeoff. There is no need to be concerned about your seatbelt or your tray table, but you might wish to keep your financial statements close by for quick reference. Discussions may trigger aha moments as well as what the moments. So let's get to it. Wheels up. The primary guest this show is also one of the hosts of Financial Flight Academy, Jon Schuetz. Asking the questions is his founding partner, Brent Connelly. They will explore his journey from introvert to television sports anchor to certified financial planner. And you will find out why managing risk is an important part of every discussion at Soar Wealth Strategies.
Thank you, Patrice. I'm Brent Connelly. And the goal here always at Financial Flight Academy is to introduce you to people that have taken the leap of faith, whether that's personally, maybe starting a business, or maybe being a person in their community. These people that we help every day might be retirees or people that are approaching retirement. And we hope that you learn from these stories about your financial situation, and maybe you share those with someone that you love. If you like what you hear, we hope that you share this podcast. And I'm very, very honored and pleased to
you should be.
Talk today with Mr. Jon Schuetz, my friend and business partner. Jon, how are you?
I'm fantastic today, Brent. It's great to be a guest on my own podcast.
Excellent. Now, Jon, I want to start off really quickly as an overview and say, what are we hoping to share with our audience today?
Well, whether you're just starting out or you're a multimillionaire, you have to protect yourself from the unexpected. And I know that sounds strange. Well, if it's unexpected, how do I protect myself from it?
Right.
We'll get into that a little bit. So I think there's something here for everyone in my very inspiring story. I've been told, Brent, by a client of mine that my stories are fascinating. So
excellent.
Buckle up.
Well,
could be a very exciting half hour here.
Well, I'm being honest. I am very excited to learn more about you. I've known you now for, I think 11 or 12 years. So I'm really excited. Now, let me get this straight. From introvert to television sportscaster and now certified financial planner. So why would anyone want to leave a job as a sportscaster?
I know, giving up show business, right? How can you do such a thing? It was fun. When you're young, being a sportscaster is fun. You get to meet a lot of interesting people, some very big names, right? Sure. So I got to meet Hank Aaron, it's just folks like that, so that's fun when you're young. But then when you start having kids, your perspective changes just a little bit. So why a financial advisor? I know you think the same way. This is one of the most rewarding professions in the world. There are a few things more personal to talk about with people than their money.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, if you're a doctor, sure.
Right.
It's a little more personal.
Well, and for you, you had great hair on TV and you still have great hair.
It's thinning, but yeah, thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Check out the picture on our website, soarwealthstrategies.com. But no, it's so rewarding being a financial advisor because I get to feel like I'm part of some of these folks' family. Mm-hmm. You and I have been to funerals of clients. I've had to deliver life insurance proceeds. And to know that you've helped make an impact on somebody, it's not something that I felt in my previous profession at all. So if you're able to give people some financial peace of mind, it's very rewarding.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, from all the years I've known you, I've never known you to ever be in the introvert category. So
it's a little hard to believe, isn't it?
When I saw this outline, I said, you got to be kidding me, because that just doesn't seem like you're not at all. I mean,
well, it's, things obviously changed, and it just speaks to the power of positivity and just some very simple, positive words from various people in my lifetime. So,
okay. So let's take it back to, say, elementary school now.
Yeah.
Let's start from there.
Yes. So I was so shy and introverted in elementary school that at recess, I would just go hide behind trees and really not participate in the recess, just shy. And so I was like that in pretty much all group situations. And even today, if I'm in a party or something, I'm probably that guy holding up the wall and not really socializing a lot. But
Gotcha.
But so what changed? Those simple moments. So in third grade, I'm cast in an elementary play, which was actually foreshadowed my life.
Voluntold, or did you actually volunteer?
Well, you try out. But so I was always a very good reader. My mother read to me all the time. I followed along. So I was a good reader. So when you're in the third grade, when you're looking for the narrator of the play, you want someone who can read. That's pretty much the only qualification. But I played a radio announcer.
Oh, really?
And the song in the play that the first graders sang about the radio announcer was, "Oh, I am a radio announcer, grand, and folks will hear me all across the land. And then when I grow up a lot, you'll see then on television, I will be," totally mirrored my professional life. There was nothing about a financial advisor later, but
talk about foreshadowing. Wow.
Yeah.
And you still remember the song. You sound great.
Well, I kind of forgot a little there, but it's just, so that gave me confidence. And when I first heard that laugh, that I didn't know that line was going to get a laugh.
Okay.
Very intoxicating. It was, so to get that reaction, that was probably the first step. And then in high school, I was on the speech team.
Okay.
And a judge wrote on a comment after the speech contest, after I won frequently. Just kidding. She wrote a comment: "You have a beautiful voice. Have you considered going into broadcasting?"
Wow.
And I know many people are so intoxicated by my voice right now, they probably can't even pay attention to what I'm saying. But
sure. Yeah.
So really, armed with only a love of my own voice and overconfidence, that's why you go into broadcasting. So
I'll be darned. Okay.
there's that.
Okay. Very good.
Then I will say one last thing. When I was a young TV sportscaster, I was doing everything by the book, Ted Baxter. And for you younger folks, Ted Baxter, I know I have to explain these things.
I need to Google this.
Yeah, thank you. Very hurtful. The Mary Tyler Moore Show. Ted Baxter was a kind of a bumbling news anchor, but I always thought you just had to do it by the book. And I had a news director who told me, "Hey, I need you and the weather guy to be my two cowboys," which was just show a little personality out there.
Okay.
And so those are three moments that I vividly remember that changed my life for the better.
It's amazing, the little things, a note on a piece of paper, or what someone will say to you to help you relax and get out of your comfort zone. That's great.
Right. And that's what we hope to bring to this show, because there's plenty of negativity out in the world right now. And, we really believe, I believe, and I know you believe, you create your own successes. And I hope that I've been more of a positive influence in my time with that one comment than negative, because it can go both ways.
Sure.
So that's what we're really trying to do here as well.
That's great. No, I appreciate you sharing that. Okay. So I want to pivot now a little bit to money, and tell me a little bit about what was money like growing up for you?
It was still green. Brent.
Okay.
Oh, but that's not what you're talking about.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So my parents, first of all, I had a great childhood. It was fantastic growing up in a little town in Nebraska, North Bend. My father was a truck driver. My mother stayed home most of my childhood. And then when I became a teenager, she was able to go to work and help out. But my parents were both born during the Depression.
Okay.
And there wasn't a lot there for them. And eventually they became single parent homes. My father had to drop out of high school. His father died of cancer when he was 8 years old, had to drop out of school after the 8th grade to take care of the family farm.
Okay.
And my mother's father was actually murdered when she was 13 years old.
Oh my goodness.
So you think about coming out of the Great Depression, and now all of a sudden these families are single parent families.
Mm-hmm.
I think you get the idea of why I am adamant about protecting from those types of risks. So you have the obvious things: life insurance,
right?
Older folks, long-term care insurance, and maybe that's a hybrid of long-term care and life insurance. Just disability insurance for someone who works. If you're, people think, well, the wealthy, they don't have anything to worry about. Well, you become a target when you're wealthy. So that umbrella insurance policy that you and I can buy, or the average person can buy, for the wealthy, you got to go somewhere else and find something that's actually going to protect you. So these are all the things that we will talk about when folks come in here to Soar Wealth Strategies. I just read a statistic this morning. Only 50% of Americans have life insurance. That's down from 63% in 2011. That's a study from LIMRA, it's a life insurance industry. Some of that is obviously we have an aging population. And so maybe life insurance isn't that need right now. But a lot of it is people don't have group life insurance anymore because we've gone to this gig economy.
Correct. Yeah.
So that is, we've all had clients who've lost a loved one and could have potentially put the family in a very difficult situation, like it was for my parents. Right? You don't just recover from that anytime quickly.
No, you're right. And setting that financial foundation starts with that protection. And I know that you've been passionate about that ever since I've known you as an advisor. And I know that that's obviously top of mind, something we discuss in all of our meetings here, because otherwise it doesn't make sense if we don't have that financial foundation laid with the protection. So now tell me a little bit more. Let's pivot to, how did you get interested in money? Being
we didn't have any.
Right, exactly. So tell me how that you developed that, that passion that drives you to help people.
Right. So my parents, because they were behind, obviously from the way they grew up, they were smart enough to go out and get some help. Right. So I had a high school teacher who, teachers don't make a lot of money. Right. And so he got into the financial services industry, happened to drop off a booklet on just some of the basics of finances. And I found this laying around and started to read it. And it just had some very simple concepts in it. Concepts like pay yourself first. It's not how much you make, it's what you keep. So I just read this morning again, the average, the median income in the United States is $67,000. You work for 40 years, you're going to make $2.7 million in your lifetime, right? Probably more than that. How much of it are you going to keep and put to work for you? So when you think about that, half of the people in this country don't have any retirement savings. That's where you got to talk to somebody and find out how are we going to make this work? So, right. Regardless of where we were and what stage of our lives, we were able to always put away some money. Well, so that booklet on the basics was huge.
Yeah, it's a testament to your parents' effort to make sure that you were provided for, but at the same time, trying to rub two nickels together to make sure that you started that foundation. That's great. Now, once again, I want to pivot a little bit to, how do you think you were going to do before the broadcasting bug? Right? Did you have any other passions, like, I don't know, maybe a baseball player, football player?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I wanted to be. Yes, a football player. And then you realize there's you have no talent, so you got to pivot again. Right. So I read, and I was back in the old days, Brent, the Sunday newspaper had want ads in it. So that's where you look for a job.
Oh, okay. Yes, the newspaper. Okay.
Right. Yeah, I know you're not familiar with what that is.
Thank you.
You're so youthful.
I appreciate that.
But I saw in there, CPA, certified public accountant, $30,000 a year. And I'm going, okay, sounds good to me. I want to be a CPA. I really had no idea what that meant. Briefly thought about being a minister.
Oh, okay.
But then I settled on the broadcasting thing. Thanks so much for listening to Financial Flight Academy. We hope you're enjoying it so far. If you have any questions or would like to talk more about this topic, you can find us at soarwealthstrategies.com, and all of our social media platforms are listed in the show notes.
All right. So let's talk about some of the early jobs you had growing up, Jon. You said you had some different passions, but tell me a little bit about your work experience growing up.
Yeah. So when I was about 8 or 9 years old, my sisters dumped their paper route on me, which back in the old days, Brent, the Sunday World Herald was a very heavy newspaper to deliver, especially on your bicycle. Yeah, it was a challenge, but
okay.
I really, being rewarded for work you do with income, which probably wasn't a lot back then. I don't even remember what it was.
That was my next question. What do you think you made on that route?
I have I really don't remember,
Mhm.
but I do remember what I made when I was walking beans. Do you even know what walking beans is, Brent?
I'm being from the city. I'm going to pivot back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. In rural Nebraska, back in the old days, when farmers needed to get the weeds out of their soybean fields,
Mhm.
kids would go into the fields with corn knives, which is kind of like a machete for folks that don't know what a corn knife is.
Okay.
And you would cut the weeds out of the field. So you'd go out in the field in the morning and there's dew on the leaves and it's very tall and you're just getting soaked and it's kind of cool in the morning. And so you're getting cold.
Okay.
And then about an hour or 2 hours in, it just starts to get hotter than blazes. It's quite an experience.
So this
walking
was
beans.
obviously during, the crop season. So you weren't walking uphill both ways in snow.
Always,
Okay,
always.
yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So what I realized from that, manual labor is not my thing. So I knew at that point that I wanted to do something where heavy lifting was not involved. But I watched my father just constantly work. And part of that was growing up in that Depression era and the situation he was in.
Well, and that's good. You have to work some of those jobs to make you appreciate, the hard work that people put in to get those beans to the plate. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you don't start at the top.
Right.
You have to get some experience somewhere. And I always have to laugh that people think, oh, kids these days, they always think they have to start at the top. Well, I sort of thought when I came out of college that I should be starting at the top of the broadcasting world.
Sure.
I did not.
Okay. So you had a paper out, you used to walk bean fields. When was the turning point when you said, I want to be a sportscaster?
Yeah. So probably about my junior year in high school, I decided, I want to be a play-by-play announcer. Where do you go to school for that? There's no such school, by the way. You just get the experience to do it. So I ended up going to Doane College. I was fortunate that they had a TV station that I could, just make a huge amount of mistakes on.
Mm-hmm.
The local radio station in town, they thought, oh, this college kid will work cheap. So I got to work from sign them on at 6 a.m., work till noon, go to school in the afternoon, do play-by-play games on the radio at night.
Right.
I pretty much just worked and went to school. There was pretty much no social life.
I could see that resume now,
which was good for me because I was an introvert.
Yeah. Experienced paper route, expertise with a corn knife. That sounds great. Yeah.
That's exactly what you need to go into broadcasting.
There you go.
I could see where the corn knife would come in handy. Yes.
Okay.
Anyway.
So I got to ask now, what was that starting salary coming out of school when you?
Oh yeah. So I get a job at KFOR radio in Lincoln.
Okay.
Traffic and weather together on the 8s. They did not do that, but made $12,000 a year. So then I thought it would be smart to take a pay cut to $10,000 a year and go to work at KDUH to get into TV in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, 213th market in the country, only one smaller. Glendive, Montana. If you can locate that on a map, Brent, there's a prize for you.
Shout out to anyone listening in Glendive right now.
I think we're going to be big in Glendive.
Great.
So then 6 months there, my wife and I got married 2 weeks out of college, out of my college. She had to finish college yet. But even though I was making $10,000 a year, she's still in college. We managed to put a little bit of money away.
Mm-hmm.
It was always very important. That pay yourself first concept.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 months there, I go to KDLT in Sioux Falls. It's actually a 2-person sports department, really moving uptown.
But living out your passion. I love it. I love it.
Exactly. And then on to Green Bay, WBAY. Shout out to WBAY. And that was fun. They trade for Brett Favre when I'm there and sign Reggie White. And it was a fun time to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then fortunately, after about 3 or 4 years, Roseanne Shannon at KETV in Omaha decides to give me a job and I get to come back home, which was always our goal. My wife and I wanted to get back here.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. Talk about following your passion and actually taking a step back from a salary perspective, but you always knew that your drive and determination from all those jobs over the years and that work ethic, that's really awesome.
Again, you create your own successes,
right?
No one's going to do it for you. And that's kind of always been my philosophy, and I know it's our shared philosophy also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's let's talk about some of that risk really quick, and I know you took some risk in some jobs, back and forth, but when we talk about, evaluating risk here at Soar Wealth Strategies, talk a little bit about, some of the principles really quick.
Yeah. So, the emergency fund seems simple. Many people don't have it. And, if you're new to this concept, emergency fund, you want to have at least 3 months of your gross income or 6 months of your non-discretionary expenses, just meaning, things I got to have.
Right.
And by the way, you don't have to have cable TV. I learned that when I was making $10,000 a year in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. You got to make some cuts. But for a retiree, that's more. Maybe it's 12 to 18 months of those non-discretionary expenses so that there's a comfort level. And if something big does happen, you've got something to fall back on.
Right.
And then other things we do is building out a retirement income strategy. It's too complicated to go into in the time that we've got. But in times like this, that becomes very important to tell people, look, we've built your plan for this. And while it's uncomfortable, I don't like seeing my account down either.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
But if we build the plan out right, this should not be a problem. And our phone it's okay to call, but folks understand what we've done, and we have planned for these moments because we know they're coming.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you sharing your story and your passion. And it's a privilege and honor, certainly, to be, working aside right next to you. How did you?
I know. You should be honored.
All right, here we go. The show's, we don't have that much time, Jon. So how did you make that leap into, becoming a financial advisor? Like, tell me more about how that transition happened.
Right. It's a big jump, right? Everybody knew, everybody, that sounds just terrible.
Everyone,
a lot of people knew me from my time on television. So I thought about doing it for years. So we had prepared for it financially to make that change. But because people knew me from TV, I thought it was important to demonstrate, hey, I'm not just some schmuck who left television. I kind of have been a student of this for a long time. And so I got the certified financial planner designation. If you don't know, that involves concepts in financial planning, retirement planning, and employment benefits, income tax planning, estate planning, insurance planning, and then there's that ethics component to it.
Absolutely.
Now, I personally feel like my parents taught me more about ethics than I will ever need to know, but
right.
It's important that people know that they can trust you with their money. So it was a big jump, but glad we did it because, like I said, it is one of the most rewarding professions I think you could be in.
Absolutely. No, that's a great story. And I appreciate you sharing that with me because you can see Jon's passion. You can see our passion here at Soar Wealth Strategies. And I'm just going to summarize now a little bit and say, risk is everywhere. There's risk when you wake up in the morning, get in your car. There's risk when you put together investments, and risk when you work with an advisor. But we can help you plan for the unexpected.
It's just part of our process.
That's exactly right. And that's a foundational part of our process. So we would love to hear from you. If you like this podcast and share it with someone that you care about, we certainly appreciate that. Feel free to call our office, 531-867-3400, and subscribe to our podcast, please.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you, and we'll catch you next time on Financial Flight Academy.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Flight Academy podcast. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at soarwealthstrategies.com or give us a call at 531-867-3400. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Soar Wealth Strategies. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service providers with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. Securities and advisory services offered through Commonwealth Financial Network, member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor.